Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Good evening, Ishay.
Good evening.
Eventually we meet. I was looking for you for I think 2-3 years, and but finally I got you.
It's very easy. Just invite me to talk to crowd, and I'm there. You know?
Yeah.
I like to talk.
So we missed the introduction about Ishay. So give me 30 seconds to introduce you, Ishay, before we even start the chat. Ishay Green is a serial entrepreneur. Founded 4 companies in the last 15 years. The first one, Onigma, was sold for $20 million to McAfee. Second one, Soluto, was sold for $100 million for Asurion. Spot.IM is his third company, one of the largest community platform building company, raised more than $38 million and still running. And the fourth one is quite new.
Yeah, it's not memory company anymore. It's the same heart, the same vision, but different name.
What's the name?
Never mind. It's a temporary name. It's a consumer product, so the name is not it's not set yet.
Okay, so people came here, or people gonna watch this video. You probably understand this is my last event, so I'm gonna ask today a more direct questions, and Ishay bravely answered that he will answer everything. Ishay, does money play a big role in your life?
So until recently, money was a big role. But what I found, I'm 40 years old right now, and I already made a small fortune from selling my companies and investing in other companies. I spent a lot. And I realized that I don't really buy the good that I'm trying to buy when I spend the money. So this is a change that has happened in the last month and a half. Understanding that what I'm trying to get from life is not, it cannot be bought through money. This is so even when you interviewed me, I talked about money differently, I think.
Yeah, you did. That was 2 months ago, this thing.
Yeah, so it just happens right now. But I heard that 40 is something that things change, but this is one thing that I would talk differently, and I used to talk differently about money. But still, it's very important, money. Don't get me wrong, okay? It's you don't have money, you're dead. Everyone knows it, yes? Don't. Yeah.
So how important is it for people to be rich enough when they're starting their own startup, or maybe a little bit afterwards?
So a startup is always about big money, okay? There is not a small startup or modest startup, okay? Because this is the business of building something that scales to infinity and beyond. And so you cannot build a startup and say it's going to be a small business, okay? So it's not a startup, it's a business. So it's related to money, and it's directed to money, and it needs to be thought through money. It's very trivial, I know.
Yeah. Just we had this short talk 2 months ago, and you said very directly that money is very, very important. Life is very different when you have money or when you don't have money, and it's not the usually question I ask, actually, the first time I ask this question, because a lot of companies and startups and young entrepreneurs thinking about how to get money or what they should do when they have no money and how to raise money. And we spoke a little bit about that, and you really spoke differently. What changed your mind, basically? Is it 40 or the kids or what?
I'm going to be honest. So one thing that changed my mind is that I spent a lot of money, seriously, a lot, millions, about goods that I don't need, stuff that I don't need, and it's fun spending money, but the realization is just this, that I look back on my spending and I see that I didn't get what I wanted. So this is as simple as that. But given that, I like quality stuff. But I'm not a guy that will go with a Rolex, and I don't have a car. I have bicycle. I don't care about cars. I don't want to have a jet. So I think that I come from the kind of things that I like to spend money on was hotels, very expensive hotels, and like arranging like a party and for like in 3 days spend $20,000 on making a party in New York. So it's ridiculous stuff that I used to do with money, and I understand now it's ridiculous. It's childish, it's stupid, and there are better things to do with your money.
Go back to money later when you speak about raising money.
I like to talk about money. You can.
What is it you're doing today? Do you have a team? What is it you're working on?
So I used to work 9 months ago for Spot.IM, very successful company. We have 400 million uniques. It's very unique in the way that of its scale in the internet. And I was asked by my co-founder and CEO to move on, and I did it. And since we're talking to entrepreneurs, and I don't know if anyone is going to watch it on the internet, but one thing that is important to understand the rules of cooperation, the cooperation rules, it's very simple, okay? There is the board. The board has one thing that it can do. It decides it can hire or fire the CEO. And the CEO has one thing that he can do, fire and hire employees. He's not doing anything besides hiring and firing people. Of course, he's doing actual work, but this is like his main role. So if you're a CTO and co-founder and you have shares in a startup, it doesn't mean that you have a job for your life. It means that if the CEO don't need you anymore or whatever reason, you're out of the startup. And it happened to me twice. It happened to me in Soluto, which was acquired later, and it happened to me now in Spot.IM. This time in my first startup, I'm the CEO. So
it's the first time you're actually the CEO.
Yes, I'm going to be first time CEO. So what was the question?
Yeah. It was about what you are doing today, and you know.
So since I left Spot.IM, I've been trying to find an idea for a startup. This is what I've been doing. Yeah. And I have my method of how to do this. And I'm going to share it with you. So we think about, I find the team, and the team changes all the time. People leave me because they imagine something different when you build a startup, that everything goes like, I don't know, whatever what they imagined, so they leave. And some people, we ask them to leave because it's not a real match. And we work together, and we think of idea, and then we develop the idea, and we go and try raise money for the idea from people you don't want money from, but they have good feedbacks. And then you develop the idea, and you reach to a problem, a big problem that you don't find a solution. So we move to the next idea, and then we get to another problem, so we go back to the first idea. So this is what I've been doing for 9 months. We have 6 ideas, and one of them is we keep coming back to the same idea. So this is the idea we're going to build, and now we are decisive about this idea.
I think what's interesting in your story is that actually this is the second time you're doing the same thing. Also, when you built Onigma with your partner, you had few ideas you told me about, and you just, most of the people here have one idea, have one startup or initiative, and they go for this aim, for this objective. In this case, in Onigma as well, you had few ideas, you went for the money, and when someone was good enough to, to pay, you went for a specific idea, right?
Yeah, so in Onigma what we did, we had 10 ideas. We ruled out 3 of them because it was illegal. So we were left with 7. And we went to investors and told them about the 7 ideas. They said, if you're going to build this, I'm going to invest. It was something that is known today as data loss prevention. It's a security system to protect organization against the internal threats. So this is what we built. We sold it for 20 million, but it's it's a home run of McAfee because it's been generating billions, this product. We sold it very, very cheap, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So you sold it very cheap, but you actually made your first $1 million or $1.5 million very, very fast. How important is it for someone who's dreaming about the next Google, maybe to dream about the next Onigma?
Yeah, it's very important. You know what they say, the first million is the hardest one, so it's true. When you have $1 million, generating more money, it becomes easier from my experience. So even though I've been spending a lot of my money, and even though money keeps coming to you, because once you get to the money and you touch it and you really understand that $1 million is fucking a lot of money. It's seriously, people talk about $1 trillion company, $1 billion. How much money do you have? Do you understand what $1 million is? What you can do with $1 million? How many parties you can arrange with $1 million? You know, so yes, for a first entrepreneur, if you are young, if you're building like the stuff that we heard right now, which is amazing stuff. Right. This is every single idea that we heard is $1 billion company. But I think a target to create $1 million is a good target.
Let's speak about this target because it's very different from any other pitch or interview we had before. So how many people here are trying to build their own companies? Here in the crowd, how many people? So at least 9, but maybe more, right? So would any of you would agree now to sell his idea or his very, very small company for $1 million in cash? Any of you? 1 behind? 2 maybe? Eli? Yeah? I'm also basically, after I heard you. So
it's the only question. I will not sell my current idea for $1 million. Why? Because I already have $1 million, and so I don't need it. I don't need this $1 million, and I stopped spending money, so it's fine. And I have investments, and it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine. But the point is this. If you didn't make the first million, and selling idea is not, it's not good enough because you need to do the work. Because what you study on the process, this is what's important. The $1 million is the when you get from the university, A, whatever, like the grade, a very good grade. But generating $1 million in cash for yourself is something that you should work for, I think.
And what the difference between the first time you raised money to the fourth time for the current startup? Is it the same? Is it very hard or it's much easier?
I didn't raise yet money for my fourth startup. I'm investing my own money to build a prototype. And I could go, I'm going for a consumer product. And consumer, if I'm gonna, let's say that I'm gonna pitch you my startup. I'm not gonna do this, but let's say I'm gonna pitch you my startup. Some of you would say, wow, very good, I'm gonna use it. There is zero feedback on a consumer because it's for everyone. My idea, at least, it's built for everyone. And I cannot go to some investor and tell him, bet on me. Okay, I need to have some KPI to prove that what I think is real. So it's different. Okay, before that, my first startup, we just said, just give the money, we're going to figure it out, because our target was to create $1 million in 2 years, and we did it. This was the target of Eliad Agmon and myself when we founded Onigma.
Yes, but is it so for the third one, for Soluto, you raised money in the beginning, or you also?
Yes, so it was easier for Soluto.
It was easier.
Yes, I think.
And what would you suggest for people in the first-time entrepreneurs raising money from VCs, from angels, from family?
Don't raise from family. Don't raise from people that don't understand that when they gave you the money, they erased it. They erased the money. Now, if they're going to get something, it's going to be good. If they don't understand this, don't take money from them because you're going to fail. Not every money, money has, the source is very important. And try to raise as much money as you can, but not too much. That's it.
How much? A good question would be how much to raise.
Okay. This is a very good question because this is a special time to be interviewed, because many times I'm getting interviewed, I'm in the middle of a startup, I'm successful, or I have problems and I don't go to get interviewed. So in what I feel, you need to calculate how much money it's going to take you. Okay, how much money do you raise? I have this slide in my, okay. So there are 4 options. 1, it's enough money to get the money cash flow. It's very trivial. The company profitable. Second option is enough money to create a KPI to bring more money. The third option is that you didn't raise enough money. Okay, this is the three options. I think it's set for anyway. So let's say my idea, the current idea, I calculated that I'm going to need something like $300,000. It's very cheap to build my consumer product. So I need $300K to make it work. So I'm going to raise something like $1 million because I might be wrong. But it's going to be top million and I can start with $500,000. This is a good advice, by the way, to do a cap on a round. So let's say you think that you need 300K, so take 600 and keep the round open and collect the money as you go. Okay, you don't need to bring the whole round at the signing. Okay, you can put like a cap. When you get to the amount of money, it gets released and you can use it.
Okay, and a lot of people ask about multiplayer, like how do you decide how much percentage you give to the VC, to the angel? So what would be your take about that?
You want that your investors going to be rich because it's not the last startup you're going to build, okay, from one side. From the other hand, you don't want to get too little equity. But again, if we talked about the $1 million, eventually it's about money and about control of the company, okay? If you give up too much too early, you're going to wind up with, I don't know, 3% of the company. But there is a one rule, okay, 3% because you get diluted, okay, if you're going to give too much. So you need to have the right balance because you need to understand that the first investors, the seed investors, if you're going to make a mistake, a critical mistake, he's going to get diluted and he's going to fund the beginning. So it's a tricky game. What I can say about this, it's
the percentage.
The percentage is like, I think that every round you need to give something like 20% of the company. It doesn't matter how much money you're taking.
I think one of the things you told me before is that percentage is important, but yet, as you said, you have to let the investor and the seed one, of course, also get rich if it's working well, and also not just think about the percentage, because if you raise enough, the company will grow, and that's worth absolute more money.
The point is this: if you go below 10% and you're really valuable, you're going to get the stock options to keep you at 10%. If you're a Silicon Valley company, we are not in Silicon Valley, by the way. We are in middle of the desert. In Silicon Valley, you can see these successful startups that the founders still hold 20%, 40% of the startup. In Israel, most companies, as I know, they drop below 10, and
after third round.
Third doesn't matter, fifth round, 10th round, they fall below 10, and then if they have a decent board, and this is why you need investors, good investors, they understand that the founder needs to have a serious portion of the company, so you get stock options, okay? So they bring you back to 10%.
Okay.
Usually, this is what I know from successful startups that even reached $1 billion valuation, even crossed 1 billion, their investors made sure that they are holding 10% of the company.
Oh, that's a good tip. So we said it's going to be an interactive interview. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to raise your hands and I'll give you some time to ask a question. We can start with you.
What do you normally tell investors when they're investing in the company? What do you offer them? Do you offer them a percentage? Do you offer them any kind of guarantees? Or how do you normally present your offers to them?
So he's asking, what do I offer? So there is no usually, and there is no normal. Okay, it depends on the idea. So I'm going to refer it as my current idea. The current idea is I'm approaching investors. So I'm looking for investors that wants to go in a consumer tech, which narrows down the amount of investors that's going to go for this. Because in Israel, we're really B2B. B2B, you can use your head and your logic and say, okay, if you succeed to build this, there is a market, you can do the calculation. In consumer, it's like 0 or 1, okay? If you won, it's endless. So in this sense, the kind of what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to do what is called a safe round. You know, like from Y Combinator. They invented this. You know what a safe round is?
Explain about the
Okay, safe round. Do you remember the initials of safe?
Nope.
No.
Do you?
Usually, never mind, not now. But anyway, safe round is just you take the money and you don't decide on evaluation, and then the valuation is decided on the next round. It's like a CLA, like a convertible loan, but it's very simple. It's like one-page document, and it's very easy to define unknown valuation of a startup. Usually you can do this if you are a fourth-timer, okay? It's not something that like a regular entrepreneur that is like a first-timer is going to get this opportunity to say, let's do a safe round. It's better for everyone because we didn't decide the valuation. So if we see oil, if we see traction on this consumer product, we can define any valuation that we want, and it's good for everyone.
You spoke before about people, and you have some very interesting stories about the people in your career path. Actually, you are involved with people since you were 9 or 10 years old, with some people in this stage, and later with people when you were 15, and later from the army. So how important are these people in your career path, and how important is it to everybody, you know, to make these connections and stay with these connections?
It's very important to have real connection with people in your industry, because right now I'm here in a very good shape. I'm saying very good shape in terms of my mental, not mental health. How do you say this? Like how I feel about myself, because I have an idea. I know what I'm going to build, and that's it. Okay, but. Let's say a month ago, a few weeks ago, I wasn't decisive about the idea. We were still flipping between ideas and raising money on few ideas. And through this process, I've been talking to entrepreneurs in different paths, in different points of their career. I talked to Avishai Avrami, for instance, the CEO of Wix. He's like very, very, very successful. Guys, please.
But you actually met Avishai long
Yes, I met Avishai
ago.
the first time when I was 16, and I started working for computer companies.
And also, I want to make the point here about since you were a very young kid, you started working with computers.
Yes.
And you met your first, I think your first colleague, Itamar Galili, who was the CEO of Zap.
Yeah, Itamar Galili, the CEO of Zap and the founder of Easy. He was also the founder of Zap. Yeah. I met him when I was in a kibbutz. We were programming together in BASIC, in a language that has been forgotten, GW BASIC.
Right. And then you met Roy from Monday when you were 15, and you also worked together. And all these people grew and really succeeded. So now you have like a group of very successful people that you can.
So my point was, I'm going to these entrepreneurs. Some of them are very, very successful, like Avishai or Roy Man, which I met him on Friday. And I consult with them about my fears and the problems of, and what I feel. And even like 3 days ago, I've been introduced to a founder that I didn't know. His name is Shoresh. He's like the founder and CEO of DealPlay. And he's been building a startup for the last 3 years, and now he's like, and I'm using them as mentors. And what I've noticed that when you talk to these successful entrepreneurs, like Oiman, a company that I'm investor also in Monday. It's a unicorn, okay? It's gonna pass $1 billion valuation. It's already did, but it's happening right now. And what I've seen that their advice from a point that they're successful is useful, and it's something they can use, but they don't really remember how hard it is. Okay, they don't really remember the fear that you have that you are about to take money from other people, about to work very hard and They are already in the successful path. So
You speaking about challenges, you had the very big challenge while you were in Spot.IM. Almost had no money for the runway, to pay salaries. At this point, you had to find very fast, some money. And today, he speaks about Spot.IM with 400 million unique users, so growing very nicely. What was this challenge about, and how did you solve it?
Okay. So about what? We had many challenges. Like when we were out of money and we needed to get more money. The best thing is if you have a lot of investors. One of the key things is in every startup that I found, I take many investors, at least 30. So if you have 30 millionaires invested in your startup, some of them had a good day. They made money today, or this week, or this month. And if you're in a problem, they're going to bail you out because they made money recently. And so we were in a situation that we were out of money, and we decided that we're going to raise $3 million. So we start calling our current investors, and we said it's going to be a round of 5, and the cap is going to be 3. When we finished the calls and the new investors, we got to 2.7 million. And everything is signed, and we have 3 days for expiration. So it means that you need to return the money. We were missing 300K. So we called our chairman, and we told him we are missing 300K to close the round. Our chairman is Ran Tushia. He was one of the first investors in Wix. He's a very good investor, so one of the best investors that I know. So we told him, Rani, we need $300,000. So Rani told us, I need to talk to my wife. So he told him, please don't talk to your wife. I said, okay, I'll need 24 hours. And after 24 hours, he said, okay, we've got the money. So this is the kind of investor that bails you out because he understands the potential and understands what he's doing. He's a professional investor. He knows how to lose money. He knows how to push you on when you are in a problem. And this is like one story of how we built the company to a point that we created traction to bring the next round.
So all the money you raised is basically not from one VC or few VCs, it's from a lot of angels, private investors, 30 private investors. How do you do that?
You talk to 100.
This is something to understand. This is very unique
Listen. This is the point. Okay, if you have a good if you tell the story a lot of times, it gets better. Doesn't matter what your story is. And the second thing is that if you talk to enough millionaires, some of them will think that it's a good idea. Okay, so if you are persistent and you're going to talk to enough people, someone is going to believe it, okay, as much as you do. Or you're going to lose your faith because you're going to get like real reasons why your idea is not good. This is why it's very good to talk to millionaires about your idea because they understand money. It doesn't matter if they come from your field or not. They can see if what you're doing is going to get to the point that it's going to generate revenues or going to make money or going to be worth something. So this is another, like if I can give an advice, is even if you don't raise money from those rich people, they have this gift. Use it.
We spoke about that and you told me, for sure you know some millionaires. And I said, well, I probably do. And then, I live in a good neighborhood, and you probably know some millionaires. So just start with one and go to the next one and ask him maybe to introduce you to the next one.
Not maybe. Introduction is the key. Introduction is the key to everything. Yes.
And then you said millionaire is good, but billionaire is much better.
Yes. Why billionaires are better than millionaires? You know why? Because we're talking about, I think, something like 7,000 in the world. Okay, it's very rare. And now, if you're going to go to a billionaire and you tell him about your $1 billion idea, and it's really $1 billion idea, he's going to understand it. Because he made his fortune from creating $1 billion companies. If you go to a VC and you meet like this principal that he had never seen $1 million in his life, he will never believe you that it's going to be $1 billion company. It doesn't matter, because he have never seen a company that goes to $1 billion. And even if it's a partner in a VC, he never seen a company goes to $1 billion, so he will not recognize it. So this is why billionaires are better than a millionaire. One of the reasons.
A good quote. Okay, Eli.
Do you have any tips or any advice on how to choose the best investor that fits my business or project? How to choose the best investor?
Yes, this is I have advice. The question was asked, how do you choose the best investor? The best investor is a millionaire investor, or a billionaire, which is better, that made a fortune from the field that you're inventing. So if you're building helicopters, so find a billionaire that made his fortune from helicopters, okay? It doesn't matter. Because he's gonna understand immediately your business, he can direct you, and he knows the company that's gonna build you, buy you, or help you build your company. And it's easier to raise money from these guys, okay? Because they understand the field in a way that you understand, because it's ridiculous. You go to a VC, you've been thinking of your idea for 2 years, working days and nights, and you go to someone, you talk to him about an hour, he thinks and says it's a bad idea. How can you do this in 1 hour? Are you that smart? Come join my startup. He's evaluating your startup in 1 hour, he's using his tools, it's fine, but this is the point. Like the right investor is the one that really understands like what you're doing and made a fortune from your field.
More questions? Yes.
You mentioned that you've been playing around with ideas for the last few months, but do you have any techniques to recommend to actually get an idea in the first place, especially if it's consumer?
Yes. The question is, she said that I've been in the last 9 months been playing with ideas. How do you do this? How do I get the idea? Because you wake up, you don't have an idea. So what do I do? Recreational drugs. This is one. This helps. I'm kidding. No drugs.
Next question.
Don't do drugs. But the real thing is, one, you talk to as many people as possible, especially millionaires, especially like companies, and ask them, what do you need? What would help you? What side project your company has, and then you think if it can become a startup and if it interests you. Another important question that I'm going to continue, so we find an idea. How do you decide that you move for the next idea? Okay, this is a very big question because persistency is the key for success. Okay, Persistency is the key for success. So I'm like, what is a startup from my point of view? It's like a group of people that are in the desert, walking in the desert. They have like water. The water is the money that they have in their bank, with their own business model. How much money, how much time they can run without raising money. I'm talking about the first round, the decision to go on a specific idea. So you're in the desert and you have an idea. The idea in the desert is that you have water here. So you start digging. Now you start digging and then you have like, you've been digging for, I don't know, a few hours and you don't see water. And you need to decide if you continue digging in this area or moving to the next. And this is the big question. If you're moving to the next idea, are you changing your mind too fast? And I think that the key thing is to be, because you're in a creative path, it doesn't matter. Leave it, move to the next one, move back to the first one. And when you leave the idea, it grows. Okay, it grows alone by, you go to sleep, you think about it occasionally. Someone asks you, what do you build? And you don't tell him about the idea that you actually work on a side idea, and you use him as a reflection. So this is like the process. And each idea brings other ideas. Okay, this is like you have an idea, because I've never heard a bad idea for a startup, never. Because the pain that the entrepreneur recognizes is real. It's always real, the implementation.
Right. Yes, Dalit.
I'm going to ask you a personal question from the future, okay, for the future.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you like, especially
what kind of music do I hear in my ears? What music do I like in general? I like, it's a very easy question. I love Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen is my guide, is my mentor, and his songs are actually a manual for living. So Leonard Cohen, Leonard Cohen, the big, the Canadian singer and songwriter.
Yep.
So you a few years ago, when you were just entering Spot.IM, the project was to be a CTO to be more freelance, and now you just left Spot.IM, and I was wondering, why did you decide to start from scratch and being the CEO this time and go through all these things? If you had knowledge that it's very painful, you could choose something a lot more comfortable. Why? Like, it's almost kind of easy.
I didn't leave Spot.IM. Okay, he said, why did you leave Spot.IM to start another masochistic process of building a new startup? So I didn't leave Spot.IM. I never leave my startups. I've been thrown out. This is like being honest. I've been asked kindly to step down, and I did, because this is important thing about startups. Okay, another tip. If a startup doesn't understand that his whole reason to be existing is to fulfill the CEO. The CEO is the reason for the startup, and every employee and every co-founder, all investors needs to understand that their target is to fulfill to fulfill the CEO desires. Okay, and everyone works for the CEO. And now you can say, what is a good CEO? A CEO is a CEO that tries to make his employees and his investors happy and fulfill themselves. But from this point, I realized that I can do this for a CEO to make my third CEO is Nadav Shoval. I picked him up when he was 20 years old, okay? And at the age of 27, he didn't need me anymore as his mentor and as someone who's going to direct him. And this is the reason I couldn't continue working in these companies as a second to command, okay, as a CTO, as a co-founder, not CEO. So the reason is that, and the question was why do I want?
When you decide you want less, why you left, but more when you decide to be the CEO?
Because I didn't succeed yet, okay? I feel like a failure. I'm a failure because I didn't manage to meet my vision. Each time I didn't touch the vision of what I wanted to build for many reasons. And I think that this time I'm going to do this.
I want to interrupt with a question. So what does people, I would say VCs, think about Ishay Green? Is Ishay Green a good investment or a bad investment?
So I asked this question, a VC. A VC, very big VC, that is not going to invest in me, I guess, because of something else. Anyway, but he invested like in the biggest companies in the world. So he said, I did an inquiry about you, and I had 2 things about you. Bad things. I said, and he said, what is it? I think if I should talk about it. So what was it? No, it's anyway, rumors are shit. Don't listen to rumors. Like the first thing that he said, that a company can succeed only when you leave it. Like I need to leave the company in order for the company to succeed. Right. So it was, I told him, I heard this already, but he said, I don't think this, but this is what I heard.
This is a fact. It's not a rumor.
Let's see if Spot.IM succeeds, okay? I'm out and let's see. Okay. But what they don't know is that if I would stay there, it would reach the vision and would get to $1 billion company. I didn't create a unicorn yet. The second rumor that he heard about me is so shameful that I'm not going to talk about. So let's move on.
But you are a very colorful guy in our, I would say, in our ecosystem, right? I think you can all, view that on stage. How did you celebrate your 40th birthday? That was just last month.
You weren't my
I couldn't come because my wife.
You didn't. Okay, but other people.
But Shachar was.
So
your own.
I decided to create a party that's going to be crashed by the police, that the police is going to close it, but I didn't want to make like problems. So I made a party on the beach of Tel Aviv, and it's the last party I'm going to make in my life. Not because it wasn't successful, it was very successful and nice. So it was shut down at 1:30 at night. But I brought like a full party to the beach. We made sure that everything was clean afterwards, of course. And this is what I did.
But the thing was that the beach basically belongs to everybody.
Yeah, the philosophy was that the beach is, somehow it's not, no one goes to the beach at night. I go a lot to the beach at night, and it's beautiful, even in the winter, but no one goes there. And it looks like they don't want us to see the sea at night. So this is the philosophy behind doing a party there, like to show people what happens, like how beautiful is the sea during the night.
Let's go for a very quick 10 yes/no questions. So quick question, quick answer. So a team or a single entrepreneur?
A team or a single?
Or a single entrepreneur?
Team, always team.
Okay, business plan, yes or no?
Yes.
Crowdfunding, yes or no?
I don't know.
You don't know. VC versus angels?
The one that gives you money first.
Okay, good. Exit fast or grow?
If you don't have $1 million, exit fast.
Good. China or the US?
US.
Go to market globally or locally?
Globally.
iOS or Android?
iOS.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Vanilla.
Tel Aviv or kibbutz?
Tel Aviv, for sure.
But he was in a kibbutz for a few years, right? It was good.
No, it wasn't good. It's a nightmare, guys. Don't go to the kibbutz. It's a fun.
As a kibbutznik and another kibbutznik over there, growing a kibbutz is a good basis for your entire life. You don't have to answer that.
For your psychoanalysis, maybe.
That's not a yes/no question. Recommended book for entrepreneurs?
Something that I read right now. It's audiobook. As a Man Thinketh.
As what?
I got it as a recommendation. It's like the Buddha is as a man thinks, but it's called as a man thinketh. It's like 2 hours. It's very, very short. And it's a philosophy of business. And very, very, I got this as a recommendation from a $1 billion company CEO. And it's useful.
He also recommended us to read The Founder Dilemma.
Yeah, The Founder's Dilemma is very important because it gives you statistics of decisions you take when you found your startup and what is the possibility of you to fail. So it's like statistics of 10,000 startups. There are some actions that if you're going to do it first, it's going to triple your opportunity to go to an exit. For instance, I'm going to give you one example. If you do equity split negotiation with your founders, it gives you 3x times more success rate. And why? Because you talked about money and you fight about your worth. It doesn't matter if you go to even equity split. But if you have this discussion and you do this and you get to the conclusion and you decide truly, you can pass any other argument. And we did this, by the way, with the groups like right now, and some founders left because of this discussion. It was good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Almost done. 3 main tips for early stage entrepreneurs.
Do the equity split. This is very important. The second thing, fund the company only in the last second, because many companies as founders, they don't work. Like wait until the last second that you already have signed all the documents and then start the company and do the split. And the last thing, stay in the domain of your expertise. So don't invent stuff that are outside of your expertise because it's going to be much harder and slim chance to win.
Last question in this Startup Grind event, and basically Usually I have these Peter Pan questions, some of you already know, but this time I'm going to use another question. This is the beauty queen contest question, which is, if you had infinite power, what would you do in order to change the world?
I would support Elon Musk. This is what I would do. If I had infinite power, I would take this guy, I'm going to help him to achieve his goals. And I think that he's unique in our generation, and I think that that is going to be remembered as important as Sigmund Freud or Albert Einstein. This is what I think about this guy. And people can say that he's an asshole or whatever. I don't buy this. He's the real thing, this guy. And he allows me to be modest. When I see him, I say, okay, I don't need to succeed.
# Elon Musk. Thank you very much.